Well, we could have definitely, when we heard about the lightning, we could have prevented maybe showing the show, because that's where most of the guests were injured, was underneath Shamu Stadium because of the structural damage.
So they were electrocuted by lightning?
No, they were not electrocuted by lightning. Structural damage was trapping guests underneath. So from the damage and from the tornado, it hit it, and that is why. If we feel as if we would have canceled the show, this whole thing might have been able to.
How long did you know?
We only knew right beforehand, and the show started at 2, and the tornado started 2 at 5.
Is
By
there-
the time it was.
Is there an organization within SeaWorld that their job is to monitor the weather, make sure accordingly whether shows should be
Well,
on?
it's done by the weather, like the National Weather Channel.
I understand that, but I'm saying, is there something that someone on your staff that watches what they're saying and?
Like on site?
Yeah, we have a weather personnel that checks.
Okay.
And it's usually within a 5-mile radius, so we get confirmation of, shows on rise, shows on shows, but it happened a lot quicker than we were expecting.
Okay. Now, is it going?
Yeah, our other SeaWorld properties, like your new water park and Discovery Cove, affected by this at all?
Me?
Anybody's.
Yeah.
Currently, as of right now, we assume that the Shamu Stadium and the surrounding park in that area is damaged mostly. There could be minor damages, but we are unsure at this time. We'll get back to you when we know more information.
Is there a protocol you guys have for if a weather emergency is happening prior to that?
Yes, we do have an emergency tower that actually does identify thunderstorms and things in the vicinity. The thing that happens in Florida is that we have a lot of showers that occasionally happen, and occasionally the towers may or may not pick up some certain things, like tornadoes, for example, are a lot less likely to predict, just like a tsunami would be.
Now, as for the guests of your park, if you were to see that there is something happening, like in this situation, is there a way you evacuate them? Do you have measures to take to keep the safety of your guests?
We do have those safety precautions, but unfortunately this tornado was quicker than we were.
Okay.
You said there was cracks in the whale tank. How long can the water stay in that tank without the whales being in danger?
We take measures to prepare that the glass itself is tempered enough that we are given a bigger window of time than we would essentially need to make sure that none of the water were to burst out and then put the whales in danger, or to slowly leak out, also putting the whales in danger.
In your protocol for keeping guests safe, we were talking about evacuation. This happened a lot sooner. So, do you have places that the guests can go, and on a 4th of July weekend, do you have enough space? Or what is your capacity to keep people sheltered?
We do. There's an announcement made over the intercoms if there is severe weather in the area within 5 miles to let guests know that there are shelters. They're not official shelters, but they are like our gift stores and our restaurants that have roofs and walls that they can go in and be safe, where the doors can be closed.
Okay. About how many people were there on your 4th of July weekend?
There was roughly 5,000 people.
How is that compared to other weekends?
4th of July is always the busiest weekend, so you can expect anywhere from 500 to 1,000 more on a busier weekend than you would on an average given day.
When did you guys say you were going to open again?
My team talked about opening on the 7th. We thought that would be an acceptable amount of time to see how long it would take to see the damage and check everything out.
Do you think 4 days is enough to assess all the damage and, help all the people who are injured?
Well, that is our estimated date to open. It is not a guarantee. It depends on how much is really damaged, how hurt people really are, just see from there.
Essentially, you guys reported that the roof collapsed. How long will it take for you guys to rebuild Shamu Stadium?
There's no say on how long it would take. It took years to build. It could take a long time. So that's definitely a fall we're going to have to take, but the guests come first, and as long as they're safe.
A follow-up question. How much is a general, are you guys going to expect a huge profit loss because of that? Because of Shamu not being able to perform?
Our main priority right now is the health and safety of the people affected by this natural disaster.
Is Shamu alive?
Yes.
Shamu's alive.
These buildings that have the integrity has been hindered or destroyed, I guess, in that matter. How old are they building? When were they originally built? And was there any code of standard that they were built to in regards to these kind of storms?
Our structures are usually renovated often every 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
And so we do renovations, but as anything, there are some natural disasters which can penetrate through these kinds of things.
Were they built in, like, knowing Orlando's a pretty bad spot for weather, so were they built knowing that tornadoes could tear through it? Or hurricanes, for instance?
We actually, in the history of SeaWorld Orlando, we have hardly had any natural disasters.
Surrounding areas, Busch Gardens, Adventure Islands, have they ever been affected by something like this? I mean, there has to have been an understanding that here in Florida.
Well, there have been other natural disasters such as hurricanes and severe thunderstorms. We are not sure to what extent this has caused, so we cannot confirm at the time the comparison level between everything.
You said that these buildings are assessed every 5 to 10 years. Can you possibly tell us when was the last time that Shamu Stadium was assessed before this incident?
Maybe elaborate on the type of certifications or the protocols to monitoring these buildings.
Unfortunately, as of right now, I personally am unaware of that information, but I will get back to you with that information soon.
How do you guys plan on compensating the people injured? Is there any means set up?
As of right now, we are mainly worried about their safety, and we will probably do something.
And how about employees?
Our employees are all the people are our concern.
Okay, it was said that there were some people trapped under debris. Do you guys know roughly how many people are trapped?
150 at this time are reported.
How long will it take for emergency crew to basically get them out?
They're not trapped in.
Wait, you're saying 150 people are trapped, or 100
They
people?
were trapped,
They
and
got trapped.
150
were
have been
trapped.
sent to area hospitals.
I apologize.
So we have, information on which got sent where, because it's not just one hospital, there's about 4 or 5 hospitals.
Okay.
Okay, do you guys have an evacuation strategy that would have helped prevent people from getting trapped?
Well, yeah, in SeaWorld and all theme parks, when you go in, on like the northeast, south, and west side, there are big gates that open up, and they're called evacuation plan B. So you go through them once there's like something in the nearest area. However, since it was within 5 minutes of finding out, it was too late to be able to evacuate everyone into the B area.
Is there anything you guys could have done to create a faster evacuation for situations like this? I understand it was really short notice, but I mean, Florida's notorious for tornadoes as well as Texas, where, SeaWorld is also. So is there anything that you guys could have possibly done to make the evacuation process faster?
You should have canceled the show. Not canceling the show is our biggest mistake, because if we would have, then we wouldn't have had anyone in the stadium to begin with. And that could have been avoided. And that is why we apologize for keeping the show going.
Has the SeaWorld in Texas experienced anything like this?
I'm not aware at this time.
Will you guys be doing anything differently after this? Will you guys be changing your protocol and putting buildings a little higher up the code, or anything else?
Yes, I'd like to say that we would like to make sure that our guests are taken to safety as quick as possible. We'd like to get the message out a lot sooner than we did, so that something like this won't happen again.
So you're going to get more preemptive measures?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have a plan in place yet, or you just know that that's what you want to do?
We do not have a plan in place at the moment, but we are looking into possibilities for the future.
Can you guys elaborate on what an F3 tornado is? Maybe the parameters behind what an F3 tornado is?
F3 tornado is dictated by tornadoes are dictated by the speed of the wind and the funnel. So I believe an F3 tornado is anywhere from 130 to 170 miles per hour, as well as thunderstorms in the area.
Okay.
Thunderstorms are usually predicted within 24 hours advance, especially now with technology these days. Why wasn't there an even earlier warning or an expectation to cancel your shows a little bit further than advance than just the 5-minute warning you got before the incident?
We cancel our shows when there's lightning in the area, and there was no confirmed lightning in the area by the National Weather Service at that point in time.
Which is where we get all of our information.
Now, follow up to that. Why are you? Does SeaWorld have any lightning detectors? Like, for instance, a lot of city parks and stuff. They have lightning detectors and horns everywhere to be able to detect between a 5 and 10 mile radius. Does SeaWorld have anything like that in place?
Yes, we do have those in place. They did not go off at the time of the incident.
Do you communicate with other parks who may have been more aware of the tornado coming in?
No, we do not.
Do you hope to communicate with other parks in the future, regarding weather? So that way, you're all of not just SeaWorld, but all parks in the area are a lot safer.
Yes, that is part of the plan.
Could you elaborate on maybe the response time of the fire department, City of Orlando Fire Department?
The City of Orlando was on site within 10 to 15 minutes of the touchdown.
Okay.
They got all the first responders, or the 150 people taken to hospitals out within an hour.
Okay. Now, did you guys say you're shutting down the entire park or just that section of the park?
The entire park.
Okay.
And then follow up to the lightning detectors. If you have the lightning detectors in place and they did not go off, assuming that is like a malfunction of that system. So
No, there was no lightning in the area at that point in time.
It only detects it when it's 5 miles in the radius, and it was not 5 miles in the radius. It came a lot quicker than we thought it would. So it was unpreventable.
By the time that the detectors went off, the show was already in place.
okay.
And did you guys mention like how long this tornado was actually within SeaWorld?
There's no confirmation that the tornado touched down within the park.
Okay, just the heavy winds or what?
The National Weather Service has confirmed that an F3 tornado was in the vicinity during that time, but we are still unaware whether or not the winds were the cause of the structural damages or if it was the actual F3 tornado touching down in our park.
Okay.
So then following up on that, if it wasn't the F3 tornado that actually was within the park itself, then due to the high winds, what would happen if a Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane hit the park?
Well, hurricanes actually have less powerful winds than tornadoes do, and we don't know whether or not the tornado actually reached the ground, or it did or did not.
Will you guys be releasing the security footage of the tower going down and other places in the park that were affected by the storm?
Our lawyers right now have indicated that we cannot disclose that.
Okay. Do you have any idea when that would be disclosed?
I do not know right now, but I'll get back to you as soon as I do.
So you're assessing mostly human health and interest, but what about the animals? How will they be taken care of, and will they be evacuated for their safety?
Yes, we have engineers on site who are assessing the structural damages, and we have veterinarians, our own veterinarians, who are on site actually assisting to make sure that the health and the safety of the animals are cared for.
Has there been any other damage to like other than Shamu Stadium and the animals over there? Has there been any other portions of the park that have been affected? Any other portions or exhibits that have been affected?
At this time, there's no confirmation of any other parts of the stadium being affected. All we have confirmation of is Shamu Stadium.
Okay.
Will there be any measures set up to check the integrity of other buildings that may have been affected but aren't visually impacted?
Yes, we have contacted our contractors as well as outside contractors who will be assisting the buildings, and actually we are going to put preventative measures by having them create essentially a very high wind resistant structure, so that when we redo these buildings again, when we renovate these buildings, that we have these measures in place so that at least you can never fully prevent all damages, but at least you can reduce them and minimize them as much as possible.
What is your indoor capacity for guests, like on all of your inside places? Do you understand? How many people can you fit in a room in all of the interior of SeaWorld that is sheltered?
I believe we can fit 6,000 to 6,500 people in sheltered areas around the park.
Okay, and that means like doors closed, not
Yeah.
just like a room.
Everything.
And employees wise, how many employees work in an average day, or 4th of July, I should say?
As of right now, we have 150 people in general who have sustained injuries. As of this time, we do not know the severity of those injuries, but as I said before, we are worried about the safety and health of the people involved. We are unsure whether or not there probably were employees involved, and we're just in general trying to make sure that everybody.
What I'm asking is, in an average day, how many employees do you have on staff?
We have around 87.
It's a pretty finite number.
All right.
All right.
I think that's probably
I guess we're gonna.